join me in welcoming Gil.
My name is Quinones. I'm the President and Chief Executive Officer of the New York Power Authority. I'm thrilled to be with you this morning and to share with you our aspiration of becoming the first end-to-end digital utility. But before I jump into that journey with you, allow me to tell you a little bit about the New York Power Authority. We call it NYPA. NYPA is the largest state-owned electric utility in the United States. We produce about 25% of all electricity in New York, 75% of that from large hydroelectric power plants across the state. NYPA also owns a third of the power transmission system in New York. If you look at the grid in New York, along with our large hydroelectric power plants, we are really the shock absorber of the power grid system in New York. And we also have the interconnections to our neighbors, including Canada, both Ontario and Quebec. Our customers are varied. The electrons that powers 840 miles of subway tracks in New York City, that's from NYPA. The electrons that supplies 51 small municipal utilities across the state, that's NYPA. And the electrons, the low-cost hydroelectric electrons that supply to large industrial facilities, process plants across New York to help attract and retain jobs and catalyze investment in New York State, those electrons are from NYPA. NYPA also is the utility that sent 22 of its best engineers a day after Maria to Puerto Rico to help in the damage assessment of their 350 or so substations, a dozen power plants, and some select transmission lines. We also led the mutual aid effort by organizing 450 utility workers from New York, 350 trucks, equipment and tools, and they are still working in Puerto Rico as we speak. The island should be up to about 95% in early April, and the mutual aid utility workers from the United States will be coming back to the mainland. So, our industry is undergoing fundamental transformation. The grid that is centralized, big power plants, transmission lines, distribution, and customers' one-way power flow is completely being turned upside down. It's because of three mega trends. Decentralization. The grid is now becoming more decentralized because of distributed energy resources, renewable, etc. And in order to decarbonize every sector of the economy, electrification has to happen. And now we're starting to see that in transportation, but even heating and cooling and process will be electrified at some point in time. And both decentralization and electrification is really being spurred upon by digitization. And that's what I'm going to be focusing on this morning. In New York, as we implement our vision, we have very, very clear goals. We want to produce 50% of our electricity from renewable sources by 2030, 40% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions based on 1990 baseline by 2030, and 23% improvement in energy efficiency based on a baseline of 2012. So to us, these are our three North Stars that we need to achieve by 2030 in New York. Last January, our governor announce certain specific actions to get there. First, we are issuing 2 requests for proposals for offshore wind, totaling 800 megawatts, just off the coast of Long Island and New York City. Our ultimate goal is to have 2.4 gigawatts of offshore wind by 2030. We are also going to set 1,500 megawatt target for storage by 2025. We will set more aggressive energy efficiency targets that we will announce on Earth Day. And we will accelerate the rate of reduction of greenhouse gases through the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative 2020 goal or baseline. Now, as we transform the energy system in New York, we are laser focused on one metric, which is improving the capacity utilization or the system efficiency of the power system from generation to consumption. Why is that important? That's important because we do not want to create a new set of energy haves and have-nots. This is, as we transform the energy system from a centralized to a decentralized system, we must improve its capacity utilization and capital efficiency, because that's what's needed to keep energy affordable and accessible to all. So as we grapple with our regulatory actions and policies and legislation, we want to make sure that when we make those choices, that they are providing opportunities for all. In New York, as we have a saying, if it's not for all, then it's not for us. So when I say we want to be a digital utility, NYPA, what do we mean by that? It means end-to-end, inside and out. So we are digitizing our assets, asset management, our digital grid, digital customer energy solution, digital trading systems, digital enterprise systems, cybersecurity, etc. Everything that we have, we are digitizing as a utility. But the most important part of it is putting the customer at the center of that transformation. A digital utility, the way we define it, must innovate. It must create new business models. And it must measure its success based on the success of its customers. That's what a digital utility means to us. So at NYPA, we have built 3 digital hubs that I want to share with you. It really starts with what we call building digital replicas. We affectionately call them as digital twins. So we have a digital twin for each of our 16 power plants. We have a digital twin for each of our 24 substations and 1,400 circuit miles of transmission. We have deployed over almost 30,000 sensors and bringing that information back. We're building a dedicated fiber optic communication system. That's what we mean by starting in this journey of becoming a digital utility. So the first digital hub is what we call our Integrated Smart Operations Center. In this center, that's in White Plains, that's where we monitor our assets real time, all the time. This is where we measure their health, we predict their performance, we improve their performance, we do predictive maintenance, big data analytics, we look at cybersecurity, physical security, all in one place. And if there's an emergency, automatically it becomes our Emergency Operations Center. So that's our Integrated Smart Operations Center. We opened it last December 11th. The second is what we're calling Agile, Advanced Grid Innovation Lab for Energy. Agile is basically a collaboration of all the utilities and the New York Independent System Operator to model the power system in New York. Dynamic, closed-loop modeling of the power system of New York, starting with the bulk system, the generation and transmission system. And this is going to enable us to plan better, to operate the grid much more effectively and efficiently. The third digital hub is what we're calling New York Energy Manager. Here, we are digitizing the energy systems of our customers. 11,000 buildings are currently being monitored, optimized by New York Energy Manager, again, using big data analytics to help those customers real time, all the time. We're able to see and disaggregate the energy use of our customers. How much is lighting, how much is heating, how much is air conditioning, and be able to create new applications if needed, storage, solar, energy efficiency, etc. Most importantly, we've created this place in New York where we want third parties to come and access our platform and use our data. So technology companies, utilities, grid operators, original equipment manufacturers, PhD students, research institutions, we want them to come and access our platform and use our data to create new products and services for their customers and for all kinds of customers. It's akin to having an iPhone and have it open for app development by anybody around the world. So why are we doing that? Because we want innovation to flourish once again in the state of New York. And you might ask, why New York? Well, it all started in New York. The first power plant was built by Thomas Edison in 1882 in Lower Manhattan. The invention of transmission happened 6 years later by Nikola Tesla from Niagara Falls to Buffalo. So to us in New York, this is hearkening us back to our roots, where it all began in our state. And I invite all of you to come and join us, partner with us in this journey, and that together we should transform this current grid that we have into the intelligent energy network of the future. Thank you.